In the quiet stillness of night, when the world around you softens and your own breathing becomes the most familiar sound, imagine lifting your thoughts gently upward into the deep calm of space. There, in the vast darkness that stretches farther than the mind can comfortably hold, everything moves with a patience so complete that it feels almost like rest itself. Stars shimmer like faint memories, their light drifting across unimaginable distances, arriving not with urgency, but with the softness of something that has all the time in the universe. And within that endless quiet, delicate clouds of dust and gas float like slow-moving mist, barely stirred, barely seen, yet quietly shaping the future of entire galaxies. As you settle deeper into this stillness, it becomes easier to sense how small details carry enormous meaning in the cosmos. The particles that begin the story of a star are so tiny they resemble the smoke from a candle just after it fades, grains too small for any human eye to notice. Yet these tiny flecks, drifting through cold and silent expanses, hold the seeds of radiance that will someday shine across worlds. And this contrast between the infinite and the microscopic, there is a soothing reminder that grand things do not need to begin loudly. They can rise from quiet places, from gentle movements, from almost nothing at all. Let your imagination drift a little farther now, gliding past dim starlight and into the great calm that lies between the suns. Out here, the universe feels unhurried. Nothing rushes, nothing competes. Clouds of dust gather and stretch into soft shapes, like subtle brushstrokes across a dark canvas. Some of these clouds are so large that light years cannot fully contain them, yet within their shadows, you would find some of the most delicate structures in existence. Loose, fragile threads of matter gently weaving themselves together in silence. These spaces are the cradles where stars will one day awaken, though for now they appear as nothing more than softly glowing hints in the dark. As you move slowly through this imagined expanse, notice how even the faintest glow seems to drift rather than shine. Light spreads quietly here, settling into folds of cosmic fog, creating a sense of depth that pulls you in without any demand. And as each drifting particle joins another and then another, the universe continues its slow, patient work. You may picture these tiny movements like snow gathering on a forgotten windowsill, soft, silent, effortless. It is in such places of stillness that the first steps of stellar creation unfold, long before any star takes shape or any cluster brightens enough to be seen. Now, allow your thoughts to approach these gentle beginnings, not as a scientist racing for answers, but as a dreamer stepping quietly into a story written in dust and time. Each particle is a whisper of what will come. Each swirl of gas carries a calm certainty that transformation does not need haste. These clouds do not rush toward their destiny. They drift, they gather, they wait. And in their waiting, they hold a peace that mirrors the quiet moments before sleep takes over, a slow settling, a gentle arranging, a comfortable surrender to stillness. Here, at the threshold of creation, you are invited simply to rest, to breathe slowly, to imagine yourself floating among these silent shapes, unbound by time or direction. The universe is wide, but tonight it asks nothing from you except presence. In this soft beginning, in this quiet corner of space, the story of Star Nurseries opens like a lullaby woven from darkness and faint light. And as you drift with it, you step softly into the hidden cradles where stars are born. And as this vision settles around you, let its quiet reminder soothe your mind. Even in vast darkness, small beginnings unfold with grace, inviting you to drift deeper into rest and serenity. When we speak of a star nursery, we are speaking of a place so gentle, so quietly immense, that it almost feels like a dream suspended in space. Astronomers call these regions nebulae, vast, cold molecular clouds, where the first hints of starlight begin their long, patient journey. To imagine a nebula, Picture a velvet cloud drifting through the darkness, its colors muted, its edges soft, and its form shifting slowly over spans of time too wide for human minds to measure. These clouds are woven from hydrogen and helium, the simplest elements in the universe, mixed with delicate grains of cosmic dust so fine they resemble drifting ash. And yet, out of this fragile mixture, whole suns will someday awaken. Hydrogen moves through these regions like a quiet breath, the most abundant companion in the cosmos. Helium follows like a soft echo, adding a gentle stability to the cloud. Each particle floats freely, not rushed, not pressed, but simply existing in a slow and spacious calm. The dust mixed among them carries memories of older stars, tiny fragments of cosmic history wandering through the dark, waiting to become part of something new. In these dim swirls, chemistry takes on a poetic stillness, as though the universe itself has paused to inhale before creating again. Nebulae stretch across extraordinary distances, spanning light years in every direction, yet they do so with a delicacy that feels almost impossible. If you could drift close enough to touch one, though no hand could ever reach such a place, you would find it softer than fog, lighter than breath, so thin that a passing breeze on Earth would scatter it effortlessly. Their beauty lies not in density, but in their spaciousness, where each particle keeps a respectful distance from the next, creating a serene openness that resembles an endless twilight field. And even in their vastness, they are incredibly quiet. There is no wind here, no sound, no touch of movement, except for the slow currents shaped by gravity and faint starlight. Imagine floating through these gentle layers of color, surrounded by slowly weaving light that shifts like silk underwater. These nebulae are ancient structures, older than many stars that now shine across the sky, yet they remain ever-changing. Slowly, almost imperceptibly, their shapes fold, stretch, and gather, sculpted by forces that act over millions of years. To understand a nebula is to understand patience on a cosmic scale. Nothing happens quickly within these hidden realms. The particles drift as if in a soft dance, responding only to the faintest gravitational murmurs. Sometimes the clouds thin, spreading outward like a sigh. Sometimes they gather into subtle pockets where the density deepens, creating gentle hints of form within the formless. These gatherings are the earliest whispers of future stars, though at this stage they glow only with reflected starlight from afar, shimmering like dust briefly illuminated in a quiet room. The colors you may have seen in images, soft roses, deep blues, pale golds, are not bright in reality, but faint, delicate hues that require long exposures to reveal. In the nursery itself, they would appear as muted gradients, gentle as watercolor washed across an evening sky. The light moves slowly here, scattering through the dust grains in quiet patterns, creating shadows that drift rather than stand still. Everything in a nebula behaves like a slow dream, guided by motions too gentle to disturb the calm. These regions, though peaceful, are full of hidden potential. They hold within them the raw materials for creation, patiently waiting for the right conditions to gather and ignite. And while they are ancient, shaped by countless cycles of stellar birth and death, they are never fixed. A nebula may spend millions of years in one form before gradually transforming into another, as though the universe were gently adjusting a blanket of mist. As you drift in your imagination through these immense, delicate clouds, you may a sense of calm, knowing that even in the cold silence of space, creation begins softly. A nebula is a cradle that asks for nothing except time, allowing tiny particles to gather, rearrange, and someday awaken as light. Their story drifts onward in soft, unhurried cosmic grace. In the quiet reaches of a nebula, where light drifts more than it shines, the ingredients that will one day become stars move with a softness that feels almost unreal. These beginnings are not grand or fiery, they are humble, nearly invisible. Microscopic grains of dust wander through the dark like tiny seeds suspended in a vast ocean. Loose molecules float beside them, gentle and unhurried, forming faint wisps of gas that stretch and curl in the low light. Each speck seems too fragile to matter, too delicate to play any role in shaping the universe. Yet these are the silent ingredients from which every star, every sun, every point of brilliance in the night sky is born. If you could drift close to this dust, you would see that each grain carries a different texture. Some are smooth, like bits of polished stone. Others are rough and porous, resembling the ashes left after a candle dims. Many are coated with thin layers of frozen molecules, simple water, traces of carbon, hints of metals forged in stars long gone. They move not with force, but with surrender, allowing the slightest nudge of radiation or gravity to guide their wandering path. Watching them is like watching snowflakes swirl inside a quiet room, each one taking its own delicate trajectory. The gas within these clouds has its own softness. Hydrogen, the most abundant element, drifts through the nebula as a pale, invisible mist. Helium lingers nearby like a faint echo of that mist, both elements forming the gentle background of the nursery. Together, they move in slow currents, curling into shapes that shift over years, centuries, millennia. These motions are so subtle that even the smallest breeze on Earth would overwhelm them. Yet here, in the calm of space, they are the rhythms that sculpt the future. Dust and gas mingle, separating and recombining in a dance that seems both random and deeply purposeful. At times, they stretch outward, forming thin veils that ripple like fabric. At other times, they gather into soft clumps, shadows within shadows, hence that something is beginning to change. Their movement is not noisy or chaotic. It is quiet, meditative, as though the entire nebula is breathing in an unhurried cycle that spans ages. Then, gently, almost imperceptibly, the influence of gravity begins to shape the cloud. Gravity here is not a commanding force. It does not pull sharply or demand motion. Instead, it acts like a patient sculptor, placing the slightest pressure on drifting particles, encouraging them rather than compelling them. Over time, dust grains drift a little closer to one another, lingering long enough for new bonds to form. Gas molecules settle into regions where density deepens by the faintest measure. Nothing rushes, nothing pushes. Gravity's hand is steady, subtle, and persistent. With each slow gathering of matter, the shapes of the nebula begin to transform. What once looked like a soft haze now gains the faintest structure, like the first outlines of a sketch appearing on a blank canvas. These structures are not sharp. They are cloud-like, blurred at the edges, drifting as they form. Their boundaries shift as particles move in and out, responding to tiny fluctuations in temperature, pressure, and starlight filtering from distant regions. The entire process feels like watching mist swirl around a lantern, always changing, always soft. And through all this motion, time stretches out in ways difficult to imagine. Millions of years pass as dust and gas slowly drift, gather, and reshape themselves. The universe is in no hurry. It allows these ingredients to follow their natural rhythm, lingering in stillness when needed, moving gently when guided. Time is not a force here, but a companion, creating room for matter to arrange itself with grace. It is this blending of fragility and perseverance that makes the silent ingredients of star formation so captivating. A single grain of dust seems insignificant, yet trillions of such grains, when moved by gravity and time, become the foundation for a star. A faint wisp of gas carries little warmth or weight, but when joined with countless others, it becomes the fuel that will one day ignite and shine. The smallest elements of the universe, drifting through darkness with almost no weight at all, grow into the brilliant bodies that light entire systems and shape the destinies of planets. As you imagine these particles drifting through the nebula, let their slow movement soothe your own thoughts. Each grain floats with purpose, yet without urgency.
Each molecule follows a path shaped by gentle forces. In their quiet gathering, you may find a reflection of your own calm, your own ability to settle, to breathe, to allow things to unfold in their natural time. Here, amidst dust, gas, and the long patience of the cosmos, the earliest whispers of a star begin to form. In the quiet reaches of a nebula, where light drifts more than it shines, the ingredients that will one day become stars move with a softness that feels almost unreal. These beginnings are not grand or fiery, they are humble, nearly invisible. Microscopic grains of dust wander through the dark like tiny seeds suspended in a vast ocean. Loose molecules float beside them, gentle and unhurried, forming faint wisps of gas that stretch and curl in the low light. Each speck seems too fragile to matter, too delicate to play any role in shaping the universe. Yet these are the silent ingredients from which every star, every sun, every point of brilliance in the night sky is born. If you could drift close to this dust, you would see that each grain carries a different texture. Some are smooth, like bits of polished stone. Others are rough and porous, resembling the ashes left after a candle dims. Many are coated with thin layers of frozen molecules, simple water, traces of carbon, hints of metals forged in stars long gone. They move not with force, but with surrender, allowing the slightest nudge of radiation or gravity to guide their wandering path. Watching them is like watching snowflakes swirl inside a quiet room, each one taking its own delicate trajectory. The gas within these clouds has its own softness. Hydrogen, the most abundant element, drifts through the nebula as a pale, invisible mist. Helium lingers nearby like a faint echo of that mist, both elements forming the gentle background of the nursery. Together, they move in slow currents, curling into shapes that shift over years, centuries, millennia. These motions are so subtle that even the smallest breeze on Earth would overwhelm them. Yet here, in the calm of space, they are the rhythms that sculpt the future. Dust and gas mingle, separating and recombining in a dance that seems both random and deeply purposeful. At times, they stretch outward, forming thin veils that ripple like fabric. At other times, they gather into soft clumps, shadows within shadows, hints that something is beginning to change. Their movement is not noisy or chaotic. It is quiet, meditative, as though the entire nebula is breathing in an unhurried cycle that spans ages. Then, gently, almost imperceptibly, the influence of gravity begins to shape the cloud. Gravity here is not a commanding force. It does not pull sharply or demand motion. Instead, it acts like a patient sculptor, placing the slightest pressure on drifting particles, encouraging them rather than compelling them. Over time, dust grains drift a little closer to one another, lingering long enough for new bonds to form. Gas molecules settle into regions where density deepens by the faintest measure. Nothing rushes, nothing pushes. Gravity's hand is steady, subtle, and persistent. With each slow gathering of matter, the shapes of the nebula begin to transform. What once looked like a soft haze now gains the faintest structure, like the first outlines of a sketch appearing on a blank canvas. These structures are not sharp, they are cloud-like, blurred at the edges, drifting as they form. Their boundaries shift as particles move in and out, responding to tiny fluctuations in temperature, pressure, and starlight filtering from distant regions. The entire process feels like watching mist swirl around a lantern, always changing, always soft. And through all this motion, time stretches out in ways difficult to imagine. Millions of years pass as dust and gas slowly drift, gather, and reshape themselves. The universe is in no hurry. It allows these ingredients to follow their natural rhythm, lingering in stillness when needed, moving gently when guided. Time is not a force here, but a companion, creating room for matter to arrange itself with grace. It is this blending of fragility and perseverance that makes the silent ingredients of star formation so captivating. A single grain of dust seems insignificant, yet trillions of such grains, when moved by gravity and time, become the foundation for a star.
Shapes of the nebula begin to transform. What once looked like a soft haze now gains the faintest structure, like the first outlines of a sketch appearing on a blank canvas. These structures are not sharp. They are cloud-like, blurred at the edges, drifting as they form. Their boundaries shift as particles move in and out, responding to tiny fluctuations in temperature, pressure, and starlight filtering from distant regions. The entire process feels like watching mist swirl around a lantern, always changing, always soft. And through all this motion, time stretches out in ways difficult to imagine. Millions of years pass as dust and gas slowly drift, gather, and reshape themselves. The universe is in no hurry. It allows these ingredients to follow their natural rhythm, lingering in stillness when needed, moving gently when guided. Time is not a force here, but a companion, creating room for matter to arrange itself with grace. It is this blending of fragility and perseverance that makes the silent ingredients of star formation so captivating. A single grain of dust seems insignificant, yet trillions of such grains, when moved by gravity and time, become the foundation for a star. A faint wisp of gas carries little warmth or weight, but when joined with countless others, it becomes the fuel that will one day ignite and shine. The smallest elements of the universe, drifting through darkness with almost no weight at all, grow into the brilliant bodies that light entire systems and shape the destinies of planets. As you imagine these particles drifting through the nebula, let their slow movement soothe your own thoughts. Each grain floats with purpose, yet without urgency. Each molecule follows a path shaped by gentle forces. In their quiet gathering, you may find a reflection of your own calm, your own ability to settle, to breathe, to allow things to unfold in their natural time. Here, amidst dust, gas, and the long patience of the cosmos, the earliest whispers of a star begin to form. In the deepest quiet of a nebula, where darkness folds gently around drifting clouds, gravity begins its patient work. It is not a sudden force, not a pull that startles or stirs the silence. Instead, it moves like a slow exhale, guiding cold material inward with a touch so soft it seems almost imagined. Particles that once wandered freely start to drift toward one another, responding to a whisper of attraction older than any star. Over thousands of years, then hundreds of thousands more, these drifting grains and faint strands of gas gather, bit by delicate bit, forming pockets where the density deepens in the subtlest of ways. These pockets are the earliest seeds of stars, tiny regions, still dim, still hidden, yet quietly changing. If you could float near one, it would not look bright or fierce. Instead, it would resemble an ember beneath a heavy blanket, a warm suggestion rather than a flame. The surrounding cloud remains dark, cool, and expansive, but in its center, something gentle begins to shift. The particles move more often, brushing past each other, settling closer, sharing their faint warmth. Each motion is slow enough to resemble stillness, yet together they begin to sculpt a new form. As gravity continues its quiet shaping, these dense pockets grow heavier, pulling in more of the surrounding material. The process is steady but never rushed. Even as the cloud thins around them, the pockets deepen like soft wells in a field of mist. The gas curls inward, folding into itself with the ease of silk gathering into a loose knot. Dust joins in, drifting along pathways carved not by force, but by the persistent suggestion of gravity's steady presence. Slowly, the cloud's once wide openness becomes a gentle inward curve, a cradle forming in the darkness. Over vast stretches of time, these cradles begin to warm.
The particles, now more tightly gathered, share energy through their collisions. This warmth is faint, barely more than a soft glow. But in the darkness of the nebula, it is the first sign of change. What was once a silent region of dust becomes a quiet sphere of rising heat, like a lantern covered in layers of cloth. From the outside, the transformation is almost invisible. From within, it is a slow awakening. The contrast is soothing to imagine. A nebulous, cold, shadowed expanse, embracing tiny pockets of warmth that grow so gradually they seem almost content to take their time. The darkness remains vast, stretching across light years, yet within it, these small brightening centers carry the promise of future light. They do not fight the darkness, they bloom gently into it, allowing stillness to coexist with their slow illumination. As each dense pocket grows warmer, it contracts further under gravity's patient guidance. The inward fall is unhurried, cushioned by the soft pressure of gas and dust that continues to gather. The sphere becomes smaller, denser, and gradually more defined. Though still wrapped in the nebulous shadows, its internal temperature rises quietly, building not toward explosion, but toward balance. The calm remains unbroken, even as the seed of a star draws closer to its moment of becoming. If you could watch this process unfold, you would see the cloud itself begin to change. Portions of it drift aside, creating faint channels where new light will someday escape. Shapes appear where there were none before. Subtle curves, gentle columns, smooth folds of dust slowly reorienting around the growing mass at their center. Gravity acts like an invisible sculptor, shaping the cloud's contours with movements so soft they resemble thoughts rather than actions. Every shift supports the gathering core, every curve preparing space for what will soon emerge. And then, after millions of years of this quiet choreography, the sphere at the heart of the cradle becomes something new. Its internal heat has risen enough for pressures to build, though not yet enough to ignite. Its form stabilizes, holding itself together with the strength of its own gravity. The glow it carries is still hidden beneath layers of dust, but it is stronger now, steady, warm, persistent. This is the moment when a protostar is born. It does not burst into brilliance. It does not tear through the nebula with light. Instead, it hums softly within its cocoon, like a warm heartbeat sheltered in a deep pocket of night. The cloud around it continues to drift and fold, shaping itself to the presence of this new center. In the soft beginnings of that glow, the story of a star quietly begins, shaped by nothing more dramatic than time, patience, and gravity's gentle, unhurried touch. In the sheltered darkness of a nebula, where dust drifts like soft curtains and time moves with the hush of a long, patient breath, the earliest forms of stars rest in their hidden cradles. These are protostars, the sleeping infants of the universe, still wrapped in the cocoons that protect them from the cold openness of space. They are not yet bright, not yet fully formed. Instead, they glow faintly, like warm embers tucked beneath layers of ash, their light swaddled so deeply that only the nearest grains of dust can sense its presence. Everything about them feels quiet, fragile, and unhurried. Inside these cocoons, a protostar turns slowly, almost lazily, as though drifting through a dream. Its rotation is gentle, guided by the lingering motion of the cloud from which it was born. With every slow spin, it gathers warmth, drawing energy from the collisions of particles that continue to fall inward. This warmth is not intense or fiery, but soft, like the gradual rising of heat within a sheltered room. Over millions of years, the temperature at the core increases, not in leaps, but in a steady, comforting way that mirrors a slow heartbeat in the dark. Surrounding the protostar is an accretion disk, a broad, delicate ring of dust and gas that spirals around it with the calm grace of mist swirling around a lantern. This disk
Is one of the most beautiful features of the nursery.
From afar, it resembles a halo of drifting silk, moving in patterns too slow for any eye to follow. The particles within it travel in wide circles, guided by gravity and softened by the nebulous quiet. Some of this material will eventually fall onto the protostar, adding to its warmth and helping it grow. Some will linger for ages, waiting for the chance to become part of planets, moons, or other companions that may form in the distant future. The glow from the protostar is dim but steady. If you could float nearby, you would see only a soft blush of light filtering through the dust. More suggestion than illumination. It is a glow that pulses very gently, expanding and contracting as the star gathers energy. These pulses are subtle, almost like the breathing of something asleep, rising and falling in rhythms that soothe rather than stir. The surrounding cloud absorbs much of this light, keeping the nursery dim and protective, creating a space where the young star can develop without disturbance. In these early stages, the protostar is still deeply dependent on its environment. Every grain of dust that falls inward adds weight. Every molecule of gas adds warmth, and every gentle compression strengthens the core. This gathering is unhurried, taking place over spans of time so long they exceed the entire history of human civilization many times over. Yet the slowness is what makes the process peaceful. Nothing in a protostar's life begins with suddenness. Everything unfolds in quiet layers, like a story told in whispers. Within the cocoon, the protostar's shape gradually becomes more defined. The once loose cloud now curves around it, embracing it like a blanket. Streams of dust flow inward along pathways carved by gravity, each movement soft and continuous. Some of these streams spiral gracefully through the accretion disk, glowing faintly as they warm. Others fall directly toward the central mass, merging with it in tiny, near-silent bursts of energy. These arrivals are what fuel the star's earliest growth, adding just enough heat to keep its slow awakening on course. As the protostar grows more stable, its internal structure begins to take shape. Pressure builds, not with violence, but with the serene inevitability of a tide rising along a shore. The core becomes denser, warmer, and more cohesive. Around it, the swirling disk continues its elegant circuits, carrying with it the promise of worlds yet to be imagined. The nursery remains hushed, its dim light offering comfort rather than exposure, its dust providing privacy for this delicate transformation. The transition from protostar to true star is still far away, but the foundation has been laid. The young star continues to gather materials, continues to warm, and continues to spin with the slow steadiness of something learning to find its own rhythm. Its cocoon protects it from harsh light and wandering radiation, giving it time to grow strong enough to eventually shine through the dust. For now, it rests in its cradle, glowing softly in the dark, a warm ember hidden within drifting clouds. And as the nebula around it shifts with slow currents of gas, the protostar remains a reminder that even the brightest lights begin as quiet sparks, nurtured in silence before they ever touch the cosmos with brilliance. In the quiet cocoon of a forming star, the moment of awakening begins not with a flash, but with a deep, gentle settling. Inside the protostar, pressures have been rising for ages, building layer by layer in a slow and patient embrace. The temperature has been climbing too, not in bursts, but in soft increments, as though the star were warming its hands before opening its eyes. The dark, cool core that once rested in near stillness now begins to glow with a faint, welcoming warmth. This is the beginning of nuclear fusion, though nothing about it feels abrupt. Hydrogen atoms, drifting closer than ever before, start to share their energy in the quietest of exchanges. It is a meeting of particles guided by patience, a union that brings forth new light. Inside the protostar, these interactions become more frequent, more harmonious, until the core reaches the threshold where fusion can sustain itself. Even then, the transformation is subdued, unfolding like dawn rising behind a distant horizon. As fusion stabilizes, the protostar's glow deepens. What was once a dim ember becomes a soft radiance, warm enough to push gently against the surrounding dust. The star does not flare or burst. Instead, it brightens the way a lantern does when its flame strengthens beneath a steady hand. The cool shadows of the nebula begin to shift, touched by this newborn warmth. The cocoon that once hid the growing star now becomes illuminated from within, its dust grains shimmering gently as the light drifts outward. The contrast is subtle but profound. The cold stillness of the protostar's burly form softens into a calm, golden presence. The surrounding darkness feels less like emptiness and more like a cradle holding a rising glow. The star's light expands slowly, filling the spaces between dust threads, outlining the curves of the nebula in faint lines of warmth. It is as though the star is stretching, quietly learning the shape of its own brilliance. With each passing moment, the star grows surer of itself. Temperatures at the core rise in steady, delicate waves, strengthening the fusion reactions within. These reactions feed the star's luminosity, giving it a warm, continuous pulse. It is still young, still fragile in many ways, but now it possesses a stability it never had before. The newborn light spreads through the cocoon, revealing textures of dust that had been hidden in shadow for millions of years. As the illumination widens, the accretion disk surrounding the star becomes more pronounced. The gentle swirl of material reflects the new light in muted tones, each grain sparkling for a brief moment before returning to its quiet orbit. The disk looks like mist turning slowly around a lantern, a soft halo that hints at the planets and worlds that may one day emerge from its embrace. Everything in the nursery feels touched by this warm awakening. The star's light begins to press gently outward, not with force, but with presence. The dust that once wrapped tightly around the cocoon starts to drift aside, making room for the star's growing radiance. Shadows lengthen and fold into new patterns, creating graceful shapes across the nebulous fabric. The star does not push the dust away all at once. Instead, it persuades it with warmth, guiding it outward in flowing arcs that add beauty to the surrounding cloud. Over time, this gentle clearing reveals more of the star's form. Its surface glows softly, its energy now strong enough to reach beyond the confines of its birthplace. Nearby pockets of gas warm in response, shifting ever so slightly as the star's presence becomes known. In this way, the newborn star begins to reshape its environment, not with violence, but with the calm insistence of light finding its way through mist. If you could watch this moment unfold, it would feel like witnessing a slow celestial breath. The star inhales the dust and warmth of its cradle, then exhales a steady glow that touches everything around it. Its emergence is peaceful, the culmination of millions of years spent gathering, warming, and preparing. And now, with its first true light, it steps gently into existence. As its illumination spreads farther into the nebula, the star becomes a guide for the surrounding materials. Streams of dust are nudged into graceful curves, while pockets of gas form new shadows and openings. The nursery reorganizes itself around this new source of warmth, adjusting to the rhythms of a star that has finally awakened. And in this quiet transformation, the story of starlight truly begins, flowing outward to shape the clouds from which it was
born. In the quiet aftermath of a star's awakening, a new kind of motion begins to flow through the nebula, a gentle outward breath known as stellar wind. Unlike the fierce storms imagined in tales of the cosmos, these winds begin softly, like warm currents drifting from a lantern into cool evening air. They move with a patience shaped by the young star's steady light, carrying with them tiny particles of dust and gas. At first, the effect is almost imperceptible, a subtle rearrangement of the cloud's delicate folds. But over time, these quiet ripples begin to sculpt the landscape around the newborn star. The winds spread outward in smooth, expanding waves, brushing against cold dust that has remained untouched for millions of years. Where the dust is thick, the winds carve gentle hollows,
creating pockets that glow faintly with starlight. Where the dust is thin, the winds sweep it aside like soft strokes of a brush across a canvas. The nebula responds slowly, reshaping itself with a grace that mirrors the rhythm of a distant tide. Each movement is unhurried, allowing the interplay of warm currents and cold shadows to settle into patterns as soothing as drifting clouds at twilight. These winds carry warmth, but not heat. They do not scorch or tear, they whisper. As they travel, they create pathways through the dust, channels where light can wander more freely. In some areas, the carved shapes resemble arches or hollowed chambers, glowing softly as if lit from within. In others, curtains of dust billow outward, forming long, elegant streamers that ripple as though stirred by invisible hands. The contrasts that emerge, bright pockets beside muted shadows, warm currents alongside cool stillness, give the nursery a depth and richness that feels almost alive. Over millions of years, these gentle sculpting winds transform the nebula into a living mural. Structures begin to emerge, tall, pillar-like formations where dust clings stubbornly against the flow, and wide open cavities where the winds have cleared space for new light to gather. Some pillars stretch upward like ancient towers, their tops glowing faintly as starlight filters through. Others take the shape of soft ridges or rounded hills, each one shaped by the star's quiet insistence. The nebula becomes a tapestry of forms, fluid, shifting, and deeply serene. The origins of these shapes lie in the dances between pressure and calm. Stellar winds push outward with steady warmth, while pockets of cold dust resist with gentle resilience. Where these opposing forces meet, curves and outlines begin to form. Over time, these outlines sharpen into features that astronomers admire from afar. Sweeping arcs, glowing rims, and shadowed valleys where new stories begin. Yet here, inside the nebula, these features do not feel dramatic. They feel slow, natural, and peaceful, as though the universe is sketching in pencil rather than carving in stone. As the winds continue to flow, the nebula gradually thins. Dust drifts into new arrangements, settling into soft clusters or dispersing into faint, distant trails. The star's warmth guides this movement, encouraging some grains to move outward while others linger near the cradle where the star was born. The shapes that emerge from this subtle choreography are ever-changing, shifting with the slow passage of time. Even the brightest pockets fade and reappear as the winds adjust their patterns, creating a landscape that evolves with a painter's patience. In some regions, the winds form delicate ripples, like waves gliding across a quiet sea. These ripples reflect the star's growing strength, carrying its influence farther into the nebula. In other areas, the winds create soft hollows where light gathers in pools, illuminating the dust from within. The interplay of illumination and shadow turns the nebula into an ever-moving artwork, calm, rhythmic, and filled with quiet wonder. The most striking aspect of stellar wind sculptures is their gentleness. Though they carry the influence of a star, their touch remains soft, shaping rather than shattering. This softness is what allows the nebula to retain its beauty even as it changes. The dust flows like slow smoke, the gas shifts like morning mist, and the formations that emerge carry an elegance shaped by time rather than force. As the young star continues to shine, the winds become a constant presence, guiding the evolution of its surroundings. They clear pathways where light can travel, reveal hidden pockets where future stars may begin to form, and open spaces where the nebula can breathe. The landscape grows wider, brighter, and more intricate. Every grain of dust is part of the story, every shadow a reminder of the star's gentle touch. In this slow, cosmic artistry, the nebula becomes a testament to the harmony between creation and calm. The stellar winds do not hurry or disrupt, they encourage, offering warmth and direction. And as they flow through the nursery, they leave behind shapes that echo the beauty of the star itself, warm, luminous, and quietly transformative. Across the vast canvas of the universe, star nurseries reveal themselves in colors and shapes so gentle, so otherworldly, that they seem painted rather than formed. Among the most cherished of these is the pillars of creation, rising like soft, shadowed towers in a quiet sea of light. Though they stretch for light years, their presence feels delicate, wrapped in muted blues, lavender clouds, and golden edges that glow like the last trace of sunset. From afar, the pillars look peaceful, drifting through time without urgency, their slow erosion by starlight unfolding with the patience of a sleeping tide. As we drift onward in imagination, the Orion Nebula appears, one of the closest and brightest cradles of new stars. Yet even here, where young suns glow behind veils of dust, the colors remain soothing rather than intense. Soft rose tones blend with gentle violets, forming swirls that resemble watercolor brushed lightly across a page. The nebula's center shines with a quiet radiance, like a lantern in distant fog, but the surrounding clouds keep the light tender and diffuse. Its shapes curve and fold in ways that feel organic, as though the nebula were slowly breathing beneath the calm expanse of space. Farther still, the Carina Nebula stretches across the southern sky with grandeur that might seem overwhelming if not for its serene beauty. Here, deep teal shadows mingle with warm golds that shimmer along the edges of towering formations. Some shapes rise like mountain ridges, softened by cosmic mist. Others drift like petals, weightless and unbound. Each feature carries a quiet dignity, a reminder that even the most enormous structures can embody a gentle presence. In Carina's unfolding hues, there is a softness that welcomes the wandering mind, allowing it to float freely through the nebula's open corridors. What unites these nurseries is not just their size or their significance, but their peacefulness. From Earth, their starlight arrives after unimaginable distances, weakened into a faint, flickering whisper. Yet, that whisper carries stories of slow creation, of dust weaving itself into patterns guided by time and gravity. Their colors, pale blues, soft lavenders, hints of gold, are invitations to rest the eyes, to let the mind drift away from urgency and settle into quiet wonder. Even the sharpest edges of their formations appear gentle at these scales, softened by distance and ancient light. As you imagine these nurseries, consider the contrast between their grandeur and the stillness of your own room. Light that has traveled for thousands of years meets the soft calm surrounding you now. The universe outside stretches wider than thought, yet here you sit, anchored in a quiet moment, breathing slowly as you picture those drifting clouds. The flicker of distant starlight becomes a companion to your stillness, linking the vastness of the cosmos to your stillness.
Peaceful center of your own awareness. The shapes within these nebulae look almost sculpted, pillars, arcs, cushions of glowing dust, yet they are formed by the gentlest of forces. Light nudges the edges of clouds. Stellar winds carve soft hollows. Gravity shapes curves so broad and smooth they seem timeless. Nothing sharp, nothing violent. Only motion stretched across ages, crafting beauty from patience. This slowness brings comfort, as though the universe itself understands the value of taking its time. In the pillars of creation, shadows cradle pockets of gleaming gold. In the Orion Nebula, violet swirls fold softly around newly forming stars. In the Carina Nebula, luminous cliffs fade into teal horizons. Each region holds its own palette, its own delicate shapes, its own whispered rhythm. And though astronomers study these nurseries with awe, their true magic lies in how quietly they exist, glowing, drifting, and unfolding without ever demanding attention. As you drift through these imagined spaces, the gentle blend of color and form becomes a backdrop for rest. Even the brightest stars seem softened when viewed through layers of cosmic dust, their light spreading like warm breath across a cold window. The nebulae do not rush to reveal themselves. They allow you to wander slowly,
absorbing their beauty at a pace that soothes the mind. In this calm journey through cosmic nurseries, the universe feels less like an expanse of unreachable distance and more like a quiet gallery filled with soft light and muted hues. Each shape is an invitation to breathe, each color a reminder of how peaceful creation can be. And as the nebulae stretch across the sky in their serene splendor, they offer a gentle reassurance, a sense that even the grandest forms in the cosmos can hold a quiet, comforting stillness. In the quiet cradle of a nebula, where young stars first awaken, the passage from infancy to maturity unfolds with a gentleness that mirrors the rhythms of a long, calming breath. A newborn star, still wrapped in the last traces of its cocoon, begins to settle into itself. The early pulses of light that once flickered uncertainly now grow steadier, like a heartbeat finding its natural pace. Within its core, fusion operates with consistent ease, no longer a hesitant spark, but a quiet flame. In this transition, the star steps slowly into the long chapter of its life as a main sequence star, glowing with a warmth that will endure for millions or even billions of years. Around many of these young stars, thin disks of dust and gas continue to swirl in peaceful rotation. These disks, once part of the cloud that nourished the protostar, now begin to reorganize themselves. Tiny grains collide softly, drifting together in gentle clusters that may someday grow into pebbles, stones, and eventually the seeds of distant worlds. The process is patient, a slow gathering rather than a sudden construction. The star does not hurry its companions. It shines steadily at the center, offering warmth and gravity as guiding hands, while the potential for planets forms in quiet spirals around it. Not all stars remain alone in their journey. Some stay close to their siblings, forming young clusters that drift through space like families traveling together. These clusters shimmer with dozens or hundreds of small bright lights, each star carrying the memory of the same nursery. Though bound loosely by gravity, they move with a shared direction, their pathways tracing soft arcs through the galaxy. The companionship within these clusters feels comforting, a reminder that even in the vastness of space, togetherness can flourish. Other stars, however, wander outward. As the nebula thins and its materials disperse, gentle gravitational nudges may push certain stars away from their birthplace. They drift quietly into the galaxy, glowing steadily as they find new paths among the broader sea of starlight. This wandering is not lonely. It is simply another expression of the universe's natural unfolding. Each star carries a piece of its origin, its early warmth and quiet beginnings, as it moves into regions where new stories await. The transformation occurring in these nurseries is ongoing. Some parts of the nebula begin to dim as the younger stars mature, their once protective dust clouds thinning like morning mist. In other regions, new pockets of gas and dust remain dense enough to begin the process anew, forming fresh protostars that will someday shine beside their older siblings. The nebula becomes a place of layered time, past, present, and future gently blending, each stage unfolding at its own pace. As stars settle into the main sequence, their lives gain a steady rhythm. Their light shines with consistency, their surfaces calming from the turbulence of early formation. They breathe energy into their surroundings, creating environments where future planets may cool, solidify, and perhaps even foster the quiet beginnings of life. All of this happens slowly, too slowly for any one moment to feel dramatic, but together it forms a story of growth as natural and peaceful as the unfolding of a flower. The universe, in its immense patience, embraces this rhythm. No one star rushes another. No transformation happens before its time. Instead, each step is allowed to unfold with spacious grace. The movement of dust, the drifting of young stars, the long settling into main sequence calm, these are the cosmic equivalents of lullabies, gentle patterns that soothe the mind simply by imagining them. The vastness of space does not feel harsh here. It feels nurturing, a quiet field where creation moves in soft cycles. And so, within these nurseries, the story of starlight continues, not as a single moment of brilliance, but as a gradual, tender evolution. Stars grow, wander, and settle into lives of lasting glow. Dust gathers into the possibilities of planets. Clusters drift like families journeying together across the galaxy. Each change is subtle yet profound, reflecting the same patient rhythms that guide the listener into rest. In these slow, unfolding transformations, the universe reveals its gentle heart, reminding us that even across unimaginable distances, creation prefers to move in calm, steady steps. Across the vast and quiet reaches of the cosmos, star nurseries continue their gentle work. Even now, in corners of the universe we have never seen, clouds of dust and gas are gathering softly, folding into themselves, preparing to spark new light. There is something comforting in knowing that creation is not a past event, but an ongoing whisper, an endless rhythm in which new suns are always beginning their long, warm journey. The universe, in its patient way, produces light continuously, never rushing, never resting, and simply allowing brightness to emerge wherever it is ready to grow. These cradles of light are scattered everywhere, within distant galaxies, faint nebulae, and quiet pockets where gravity and time weave their slow patterns. Some stars that form today will shine for millions of years. Others will live far longer than every human story combined. Yet all of them begin the same way, nestled in softness, wrapped in darkness, shaped by the calm persistence of natural forces. The idea that the cosmos is always nurturing new stars, quietly, gently, can feel like a warm reassurance, a reminder that growth is woven into the fabric of existence. As we reflect on these nurseries, the vastness of space begins to feel less intimidating. Instead, it becomes a landscape of slow rhythms and tender beginnings. The universe, though enormous, behaves with surprising gentleness. It allows stars to form in their own time, dust to drift according to its paths, light to rise gradually from faint sparks. There is no hurry, no pressure, only the soft unfolding of cosmic stories that stretch across ages. And in observing this, we may feel a quiet invitation to slow our own thoughts, to breathe more easily,
To rest within the spaciousness of the moment. Let your awareness drift back to your own presence now, in the stillness of your room. The starlight from distant suns, traveling across unimaginable distances, now meets the soft calm where you sit or lie. Your breathing rises and falls, unforced, like the slow waves of gas drifting through a nebula. Outside, the universe expands and evolves with unhurried grace. But here, in this moment, everything is peaceful and steady. You are part of this quiet continuum, another small point of calmness in a vast field of gentle creation. Imagine now that you are floating among one of these distant nurseries. The light is dim, not bright enough to disturb, only enough to paint the edges of drifting clouds in soft shades of silver and gold. The dust forms slow-moving currents around you, curling like mist in a dream. There is no sound, no wind, only the deep silence that accompanies places where stars are learning to breathe. Each cloud feels like a blanket of velvet, each glimmer of light a promise of warmth that will someday spread across the galaxy. You drift deeper into the nebula, weightless, unhurried. The faint glow of newborn stars flickers gently through the dust, guiding your path like tiny lanterns scattered through the dark. Nothing demands your attention, nothing asks you to move faster. The universe simply holds you, wrapped in its quiet cradle, allowing you to float as though time itself has softened. In this serene expanse, your thoughts loosen and settle, as though gravity here is made only of comfort.
As you imagine resting among these dim clouds, notice how naturally your own breath aligns with the slow rhythm of the nebula. Inhale gently, like dust gathering toward a warm center. Exhale softly, like stellar winds easing outward into open space. Each breath becomes part of the cosmic story, a quiet echo of the universe's endless creation. Here, in this peaceful drifting, the boundaries between self and starlight blur. You are simply resting, suspended in a place where new suns began. And as the final traces of light fade into the soft darkness around you, you may feel yourself sinking into a deeper calm, wrapped in silence, drifting toward sleep, carried gently by the universe's endless cradles of light.